Morning, everybody. Welcome to Learning Human. My name is Holden Long, and I'm going to be helping out with some of the sessions today. The first one we have for you is with Kiana Pompa from Sony. She's a sales support engineer. She's a sales support engineer, and she's going to be talking about Classroom of the Future. And we're also joined by Jude Vargo, who's going to help us out answering some questions that you may have in the chat. So, Kiana, if you're all set to go, then go ahead.
Hey everyone, get started here shortly. Apologize for the delay. Okay. So this is our team. My name is Kiana Pompa. I'm the sales support engineer here out on the West Coast. So my main priority here at Sony is to talk about technology and be an educator for all of you. I'm also your direct resource, so if you have any specific questions on anything that we're presenting today, I'll be your direct contact. We also have Jude Vargo on the line. He is our account manager also in this West Coast territory area. Just to give you a brief overview of today, we are going to talk about the Classroom of the Future and give you a live demo here from my home office. Before we get into it, I'll talk about the pieces and components, give you kind of like an overview of what it is, and then I'll switch over to actually showing you how this demo works. So it'll take around 25 minutes with the Q&A at the end, and hopefully Jude can help facilitate that. So if you have questions in advance during any part of my presentation, you can definitely put your information out in the chat, and we will answer it at the very end. So what does a Classroom of the Future look like? So given this whole pandemic and knowing that we don't have students in the classroom currently, we're looking at new ways on how to make the virtual environment more innovative, intuitive, easy to understand, and also very easy for faculty to run. So basically what we're doing here is we're taking our Edge Analytics Appliance, and this appliance is actually showcasing artificial intelligence, and the artificial intelligence is creating these solutions, and what the solution is handwriting extraction. So what we do is we overlay the handwriting of the instructor in front of you, and then we also have PTZ auto tracking, which will essentially start tracking the instructor without the need for a camera operator. So all of this is very COVID friendly, it's hands-free. And then additionally, what we're doing is using a beamforming microphone, so you don't have like a lavalier mic or a handheld mic, just again, sanitation and all of that. Everything will be hands-free, and the only thing that you're essentially touching is your whiteboard if you're using it. Other than that, you can present as normal. The auto tracking is completely automatic, and you'll see at the end. So with that being said, let's talk about a little bit more in depth on each component. So our Edge Analytics Appliance is what I call the brains of the operation. And we allow for 5 different licenses. Today we are strictly focusing on handwriting extraction and PTZ auto tracking. But in the chat, we can include a video of all 5 licenses and an actual demo on YouTube so that you could see for yourselves. Handwriting extraction, like I said earlier, it's ideal for lecture capture and e-learning. What this really does essentially is that it takes part in, it shows the instructor clearly, but it also shows your writing clearly as well. So you're going to get the facial expressions of the instructor while you also have the data outlaid in front of you, so you're not actually blocking your handwriting. And I'll show you that momentarily. And then if you're curious about PTZ auto tracking is built into our Edge Analytics Appliance. It's a sales promotion, so if you purchase the appliance, PTZ auto tracking will control any of our Sony PTZ cameras listed right there. And it's highly accurate. So it does this by motion, face, color, and shape recognition. And it will switch between full body and upper body in the web UI. And with this, it will actually only track one person at a time. So it's a one-to-one relationship, but if, say, someone stands up or crosses your path, if you are the first person in that shot, the camera will stay on you until you actually leave that field of view. Again, I'll show you that momentarily. If you're curious about any of the Specifications, here's a full list. We are actually taking HDMI out, or RTSP streaming out of the Edge Analytics Appliance, but we are very agnostic and very friendly, and we can teach you different ways on how to send this content over video conferencing platforms. As you see today, I am using the Edge Analytics Appliance for lecture capture over Zoom. So what I'm doing is converting it to USB, but there's many ways to do this, so we can definitely talk it out on your specific needs. And lastly, before we get into the live demo, we'll talk about the beamforming microphone array. It's a very simple solution. It hangs on the ceiling and it has a bunch of different areas for capture. So 2 channels. One for recording that has a 23-foot radius, and the other one is going to be specifically for speech reinforcement and recording, and that one has a 10-foot radius. We also include noise reduction on that channel, so it is a bit of a smaller capture range, but you can have the flexibility to use either or. We're using this with PoE and Dante, so it will connect to your Dante DSP, or you can also use a converter to convert to XLR or USB. Again, very flexible. Let us work out a room for you and we'll take it from there. So with all that being said, I will switch over now to using my IP beamforming microphone. I will also be using the SRG X400 here in my home office and the Edge Analytics Appliance. So let's switch over. Okay, so you should all be seeing me on the far end. As you can see, the handwriting is overlaid right in front of me, and you can actually start writing on the whiteboard. If you're curious on how the original view is, say for example, we're right now at 33% opacity. I can minimize it, so this is the original view. And say if you have an instructor that might be camera shy, this is full opacity. So now you won't see me at all unless I'm out here in the edges. You can also take screen grabs of this. And just for your viewing purposes, I'll give you a little lesson on how this connects so that you can see how handwriting actually works on the board. So you're taking this PTZ camera into our Edge Analytics Appliance over HDMI. And the cool thing about handwriting extraction is that we don't lock you down to use any specific HDMI camera. You can actually use any HDMI camera that you might have already in your building. You can repurpose them, but this is only for the handwriting extraction solution. So once this goes into the appliance does all the work to send this over the web, to send this to our lecture capture systems, or even after, hopefully we return back to this new normal where we can go into large venues. You can also integrate that into sending it to the far end for PTZ auto tracking, or if it is a large venue and it's hard to read the whiteboard, you can send this over to multiple displays for people that are all the way in the back. Additionally, with IP microphone goes into the Edge Analytics Appliance. With IP microphone, I want to make it very clear that even though I created this whole scenario where all of these are packaged in one, this isn't a bundle solution. You can always change pieces and parts. Like if you already are using lavalier mics or a standard microphone system, you can definitely integrate things that you already have. This is just a visual of how you can make your classroom truly hands-free. But if you're interested in handwriting extraction, like I said, let us work with you in building out all of these rooms. I will also erase. So as you can see, it recognizes the writing, and then when I erase, it does this kind of magic eraser feel to it. And before I move on to PTZ auto tracking, I was curious to see if we have any questions Holden, do we have any specific questions on handwriting? And do you mind unmuting Jude?
Jude, are you there?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. Hello, everyone.
So I do see a question. It says, do cameras support NDI? So that is a yes. So we do have our PTZ cameras that have an optional NDI license that we can integrate. Okay, so you want, I do see another question where they said, if you're someone that's camera shy, if you could write on the whiteboard so you could see that. So it's kind of like this magic eraser thing, so. Hopefully that gives you a good visual. And what am I writing on? So this is actually just a basic whiteboard. It's from Staples. So there's no special, expo markers, just regular. Everything that's processing here is from our Edge Analytics Appliance that's using this form of artificial intelligence to give you this augmented reality of handwriting being put right in front of you. And how large of a whiteboard we support? Actually, we have 0 limitations on the length and width of your board. You set it up on the Edge Analytics Appliance on where each corner is. But specifically, you have to remember that if you are sending this out into the far end and you're not in that 16:9 aspect ratio, you really have to be careful on what you're sending to the far end, especially if you have students that are going to be using this video feed on a very small laptop, or maybe they're seeing it on their phones or their iPads. You want to make sure that you are giving a good aspect ratio of your whiteboard to at the far end. So again, no limitations, just keep in mind your aspect ratio for viewing. Do I need to purchase the whiteboard from Sony? Definitely not. Again, this is no special whiteboard. If you already have a whiteboard in your home or in your classroom, you will repurpose that whiteboard, or you can buy it from Staples like I did, Amazon. It really doesn't matter. There is no special boards needed. And another question, is there specific colors that we need to use? So actually, no. Currently right now I'm using red, green, black, and blue. All of those standard Expo colors are supported. Okay. So it looks like we have most of the whiteboard questions figured out. So at this point in time, I'll switch over to PTZ auto tracking so you can see that in action as well. So the question is, does the camera see when you write and you're in the way of the camera? So the answer to that is no. You actually have to move so that the camera recognizes the actual writing on the whiteboard. Okay, so as you can see, I'm here in my home office. And it will start tracking me. One second, let me raise my camera. So the cool thing here is that as soon as I step into the shop, it'll pick me up automatically. And because we have 4 different detection areas, even if I turn my back towards the camera, it will still keep tracking me. So again, we're eliminating the need for a camera operator, and you can send this over to the far end when you are doing a virtual classroom. With this PTZ auto tracking technology, we are only supporting our Sony camera, PTZ camera specifically. We do have a compatibility list that I shared with you earlier during my PowerPoint presentation. The one that is flexible, again, is handwriting extraction. In that case, you could use any camera, but with PTZ auto tracking, we are very specific. So again, let me know if you have any questions or if you'd like me to try anything here while we have PTZ auto tracking running. Okay, I'll turn around. So I got a couple of questions. How does the camera see what you're writing if you're in the way of the camera? We answered that. So again, it just happens naturally. As you start writing, you're moving across the board. So as soon as you move, the camera will catch up to your writing and will display it in front of you. And then auto tracking is through the REAC 1000 Edge Analytics Appliance. Yes, that is correct. So again, the appliance is the brains of the operation. So it is the one doing the algorithm to start tracking you. So you need both the Edge Analytics Appliance and a PTZ camera to operate. And if you have more than one person in a shot, so essentially this is a one-to-one relationship, so it can only track one person at a time. So first person in the shot is going to be automatically tracked. If somebody else comes in to step in, you will still be in that focus area and will continuously track you. The way it switches to the next person is you have to physically leave the area. So as of right now, if you see in my camera feed, my camera is showing, let me see. I think I could share my screen, make sure it's full screen. So I should be seeing it in full screen. So this is like my home detection area. So in the home detection, it would essentially be like a podium, you know, maybe at the center stage. And then as soon as you step into that field of view, it will automatically pick you up. And then if you want to go on to the next person, I have to leave that area. And then it will, you know, try to look for me. If it can't find me, it'll go back to that area of view. And now it's back at the home position. Hopefully that makes sense. And I think that's all the questions we have. Holden, would you like to add on to anything? Or Jude?
No, I mean, yeah, if we want to keep the line open for a few more minutes just to answer any questions that may come up.
I think there was one. Kiana, did you get it? About the 3 or more cameras in the classroom. It would have to be a 1-to-1 ratio of Edge Appliance boxes to cameras, correct?
Oh, what if you have more than one person in a shot? How many cameras is, okay. So the appliance only supports one camera at a time. So you would have to do 3 appliances if you want to use 3 cameras. And then I got another question if handwriting feature includes text conversions. So with this one, actually, what it does is it can take screenshots of your whiteboard, but it does not convert it to text. It's just a screenshot image of the whiteboard.
So I believe we have a question. Where does that image save to, Kiana? Does that just save to the computer that would be running the Edge Analytics software?
Yes, so it would be saved directly onto your computer. That is correct. And just for everyone on the chat, I did upload the link for the demo video. So if you're curious on any of our other solutions that we offer on the Edge Analytics Appliance, you could see a live demo here, and then you could do another replication of what I did here in my home office, but at a much grander, more production-based scale.
Kiana, is it possible to set that up to auto upload to, like, say, like a server or like a cloud drive or something like that?
So you could specify the location on where to save, but currently right now I do not believe cloud is supported. It would be a feature request.
Awesome, thank you.
Great. Any other questions? I can also put my email here in the chat if you don't all have it already.
I'll do the same for everyone as well.
So the screenshots are actually a manual process. You just click on the button. We also have CGI commands. So what that means is you can send IP commands to make this automatic. So if you have a control system, you can just press a button and these screen grabs will save automatically. But yes, it will be through the web UI. Is anyone interested to seeing the web UI? I didn't know how in-depth anyone wanted this, but I can definitely share my screen and you can see how this is set up and how easy it is. Okay, I got a yes. Okay, so this is our Edge Analytics Appliance. As you can see, it's based on an IP address here. The applications are all here in the drop-down list. So you're looking at PTZ auto tracking, handwriting, close-up by gesture. With handwriting extraction, we're going to click on Setup. And then as soon as the module starts running, you'll specify the areas of the whiteboard. So you'll just say, this is the area, this is an area, here, and here. And I think the coolest thing about this product is that it does fix your whiteboard into a flat area surface. If you see right here, the way that my whiteboard looks in this live feed, my video is very angled and it's in a weird position. The cool thing that it does is once you click on next, you can adjust the viewing area. And then once you're done, you'll see that it's a flat surface. So it fixes that distortion to make it more natural and it's no longer in that weird angle. And again, here is like where you fix the transparency, so full opacity or very little at 27%. You can play around with it. Here's the screen grab button. So if you see there's like a little capture area and then it'll just save directly onto your PC for you to send later. And I think there was another question in the chat. Okay. And then if you're curious on how PTZ auto tracking is set up, again, super easy. The best part about this is that once it's running, you don't really ever have to set it up again. So you just set it up one time, unless you're moving it to a different room. Of course, you might require a little bit more setup. but this is basically the first area. You do free object pan tracking, or say if you have a whiteboard, you can also fix it into the frame, meaning that it'll center the whiteboard with you in it so that it can make sure that it's visually showing the whiteboard as a priority. Free object pan tracking is what I was using before. And then I'll specify the units. So for you to all know, the units of measurement, meaning our limitations, is at least 17 feet of distance minimum. It's very forgiving. My home office here is around 10 by 10, very small. So even in that 10-foot environment, it still does work. And then our maximum distance is 96 feet. Given that our PTZ cameras do have a very wide zoom capability, we can reach up to distances of 96 feet. And then you have upper body or full body. You can toggle back and forth. And then you just click on next. And then you'll set the home position. We talked about this earlier, specifying if it's at a podium, in front of a whiteboard, at main stage. You set it up. It could be anywhere. The buttons are here. You can also zoom in and out, and then click on next. You'll specify the detection area. So this is a really good feature, especially if you have like students sitting down or if you have an audience on the bottom. You don't want to risk the algorithm getting confused if someone physically stands up and is in the way. So what we'll do is set up these mass detection areas. So this is a blue detection area of where I want it to focus. But here in the gray, what we could do is mask this gray area so that if anyone stands up, it's not going to interfere with the algorithm. And you just click on next. You can also set up a left and right limit, meaning that if you do have a stage, you might not want it to go past that area of view. So you can set up a limit. If you do not set it up, you're just looking at your standard pen limitation, which is around 160 degrees. And the last one is a recovery time. So I think this is another cool feature. Say, for example, if your algorithm ever gets confused, it will check on the recovery areas first and try to find you again. If it doesn't find you in that recovery position after 1 to 60 seconds, it will just shoot back to home or the podium position, and then it will automatically pick up the next person in the shot. And with all that being said, you just click on done, and then PTZ auto tracking is running. And again, super simple. You'll see the web UI gives you a green check mark that it picks me up right away. Please keep in mind this is a confidence monitor, so you're going to be looking at it at a lower resolution on the far end.
Well, awesome. Kiana or Jude, do you have any final thoughts, any parting wisdoms for us before we hit the road?
I'd like to say thank you. Thank you for everyone who joined us today. We are really excited, to work with you. And I urge anyone and everyone to work out, to reach out to us. And we'd love to start some conversations about, your individual needs. So thank you so much for the time.
Thank you so much.